and we subject every other analysis to bowing first to him. Now, I'm not really very shy about this conversation, I must tell you folks. I'm retired. I can say what I want. I have spent so much time among people who bite their tongues out of necessity, and I will tell you a brief story about that. I addressed one Wednesday morning, more than 20 years ago, the caucus over on the Hill, the Republican caucus, of course, about sensitive issues, the foremost of which was affirmative action at that time. I was then serving as chair of the United States Commission on Civil Rights. And I told them what needed to be done, told them what the actual reality was in the country, and what responsibility fell upon them. And they responded to me that I could little expect them to stand up and take on this battle. They told me that. They explained themselves. I had some sympathy for them. They said, do you understand that if we say the things you say, we will be called a racist? I said, yes, I know that. They said, if we go this way, we will be thrown out of office. I said, I know that. I understand that. They said, if we try to fight this battle, we will have to neglect all the other things that we're working on. I said, I know that. But the question of priorities must come first, as it did at the founding. If you're not prepared to fall on your sword for the things that are nearest and dearest to you,
yes, sir,
you're not prepared to lead.
Yes, sir. That's good. Thank you, Jesus.
So when we address the policy agenda today, let us remember where we came from.
All right.
Let us remember how this country was framed. This is not a work of man. It was constantly reiterated in the hour of the founding that providence has brought us thus far. It is up to us to defend it. It is up to us to preserve it. It is up to us to mature it. But we have it because providence has brought us thus far. You will hear often debates about who were and were not believers in the founding. It's an interesting scholarly discussion. There's much that can be said about it historically, who worshiped where, whether they believed or didn't believe. But let me tell you, my friends, the issue isn't whether Thomas Jefferson did or did not believe. The issue isn't whether George Washington was a serious Episcopalian or not. The issue is, did God intervene in this space?
Yes. Thank you, Jesus.
He did. He did. Not one of us is capable of saving a single soul. That is not our job. Our job is to carry the word. Do we carry it only into the pulpit? Or do we carry it into the streets? Do we carry it into the chambers of government? Do we carry it into political conventions? Some people may want to leave God behind. Let them. God doesn't need people to say God in order for God to speak into people's lives.
Yes, sir.
Oh, my God.
That's good.
We are to sow the seed. The seed, in brief, might be understood thus. We have problems of enormous burdens of debt in our society, which make it impossible for us to do things necessary for us to do. I'll illustrate. Feed the hungry, which we should be doing in our churches. Many of us try to do. We exert ourselves. Many other of us will say, well, we would, but the government has all the resources. So when the government tries to feed them, we will defer to the government because it has the resources. I want you to remember where the government got those resources, my friends. Government produces nothing. Nothing. Not a single dime has ever been earned by the efforts of government.
Right.
Government got the resources by taking them from you. Taking it from you. If you can do less, it's because government has insisted on taking more. It's time to stand up and say, wait, I don't want to give it to you. I can do it better.
All right.
I know where to go. I know who needs a helping hand. I know how to lift them up and not just fill them, their bellies. It's time to tell government to stand back. We don't have to wait for someone singing the pipe dream that we all belong to government, when we all know that the government belongs to us.
All right.
So, thinking about the question of contemporary policy urgencies in light of the depth of American experience and principles, I invite you to take the place of those who originated this great nation. Yes, I'm not modest in my demands upon you. Take their place. It's your turn. It's your turn. You can be founders too.
All right.
It only requires to speak everywhere, loudly, with clarity, with boldness. Declare the coming of the day. Let them hear your tread as it approaches at the steps of the Capitol. Let them hear you marching down Pennsylvania Avenue. Let them hear the clarion call of revival. Press forward. Take the issues seriously. I don't want you to ignore those, though I'm speaking generally. But remember always to present them on the strength of faith and conviction, knowing the work has been appointed by God. I preached a week ago, and I'm done with this. This is I'm closing. And the title of the sermon was Somebody Don't Get It. And the burden of the message was that God speaks to us. I hear people say, I'm waiting to hear from God. I said, well, are you nuts? God has spoken and is speaking. Yeah. You don't have to wait to hear from God. God is there. God speaks. God calls. Hear.
Yes.
Let those who have ears hear.
Yes, sir.
Let those who have eyes see.
Yes, sir.
God isn't waiting. Why are we?